Hello everyone. The gravy train continues in Ireland. The government has now appointed a record amount of junior ministers. They're actually looking to change the legislation now to appoint 23 junior ministers, including super junior ministers. This is an absolute farce. Many of these ministers have next to no responsibility. Under the Constitution, the government is supposed to be a minimum of 7 members and a maximum of 15. Now, including all these junior ministers and super junior ministers, this comes to 38. And of course, this is jobs for the boys and the girls. Because junior ministers are quite a recent phenomenon. Only came into being really in '94 when Pat Rabbitte, who was involved with Democratic Left, got a position at Cabinet. Of course, they cannot vote on any issues pertaining to the Cabinet in relation to the Article 28 of the Constitution, which relates to Cabinet confidentiality. But this a case has been taken by Sinn Féin TD, Pa Daly, about the constitutionality of this, and I would argue it has very good demands and claims around this. But of course, we know the way the institutions work in our society and work in the main part against the interests of ordinary people. Now, what's also interesting about the cabinet confidentiality is everybody remembers Leo Varadkar leaking his documents to his friend in a document that said confidential, not for circulating. But of course, Leo Varadkar was able to act whatever way he wanted it in relation to providing important and confidential information to a friend of his who was involved in a GP organisation. But also, it's a big gravy train and a big money spinner for many of these ministers. Up to €159,000 is to be earned by the junior ministers, and a super junior minister would earn up to €175,500. This comes when you think a TD salary is 113,000, and not to mention the expenses and add-ons as well in terms of ministerial assistance and special advisors. I'm sure there's going to be plenty listed and added onto that lucrative gravy train as well. And they're taking people for complete and utter fools. Now, what's also important about this is the appointment of a number of these cabinet or junior ministers. We have people like Robert Troy. Robert Troy is a Westmeath TD from Fianna Fáil who was also responsible and not given a clear declaration of his interests in properties. So he was breach of those ethics regulations by not giving the full list of his property interests. And also, he contacted Norma Foley, who was then Education Minister, about the use of a building in Mullingar, County Westmeath, owned by his brother-in-law, about possible state usage. Of course, nothing to see here. But of course, it's very interesting because Troy has now moved into position in the Department of Finance. A man who can give his own declaration of property interests and the amount of money he's been making as well through the housing assistance payment system, through the government policies, profiting from it as well, renting off so many of his properties. And also we have Noel Collins. Noel Collins is famous for voting on land that was being sold to his wife. Of course, he had to recuse himself from that vote for a conflict of interest, but he never did. And the land was sold on. But of course, this is Ireland, and you get promoted for all these misgivings and misdeeds. And what's also interesting as well is Timmy Dooley, who was involved in the vote scandal with Noel Collins, where Noel Collins voted for him and Timmy Dooley voted for him as well when they were both out of their seats. Ireland is just absolutely corrupt to the core, and all these junior ministers just demonstrate the contempt that the political establishment have for ordinary people, making up these jobs for the boys and girls, and the same corrupt crony circle continues in Ireland. It needs a radical shift. We need to put the needs of citizens first and bring democracy back to our communities. And this is at the same time when people are suffering without electricity, without heating, without lighting, without water in their homes as well. Many people who are very vulnerable in our society in many parts of Ireland, and these absolute psychopaths are at the top, talking about giving positions to their friends for all their misdeeds in the past. This is the way Ireland works. Thanks a lot for the support of my videos. Please press subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take care. Slán. Bye bye.